Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Lukeness Monster. Today, we're going to be ranking every single Mandalorian Season 1 character in the Black Series from worst to first. With Mando Season 3 coming out in less than a month, I really wanted to take a look back at every single Black Series Mandalorian figure released and kind of reflect on the figures that we did get and rank them. Now, we will be doing Season 1 characters this week, and then we'll be doing Mando Season 2 characters next week, so make sure to stick around for that. But today, we're going to be ranking every single Mando Season 1 character from worst to first. Real quick, if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, make sure you go down and hit the like button and subscribe. It really helps out the channel a lot, and I do greatly appreciate it. And we're about to launch our first monthly giveaway in just a few days, so if you are interested in that, you do have to be subbed to the channel. Hit that like button, subscribe so you don't miss out, and on to the number 22 spot. Coming in at the number 22 spot, I gave it to Quill. Now, Quill is a very interesting character. I really loved his character in the show, but he doesn't really translate to figure form the best. I think the colors that Hasbro chose for his outfit are completely off, and I also think that he's just a tiny figure for full price, and he's just a little overpriced for what he comes with. He only comes with one accessory, and that is his blaster, and he can barely hold the blaster how he's supposed to. I really just don't like this figure. I think that it had a lot of potential, and it just didn't really come out how it was supposed to, so that's why it comes in at the number 22 spot. If he did come with a blurg, I think I would definitely put him a lot higher on the list because I absolutely love the blurgs, but since this is just a standard release, normal Quill, it does get the last spot for Mando Season 1 characters. Coming in at the number 21 spot, I gave it to the Off-World Jawa. Now this one is a very interesting character as well, and it's basically just a Jawa, I do have to say. Not a whole lot going on with this guy. He's just a Jawa with red eyes, so nothing special, and that's why he's a little bit lower on the list. I do really love the soft goods. I think the soft goods cloak on this guy look much better than compared to another Jawa like Tika from the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. So it's a good Jawa, just compared to the rest of the figures on this list, it just isn't as good in my opinion. Coming in at the number 20 spot, I gave it to IG-11. IG-11 was one of my favorite characters in Mando Season 1, but unfortunately his figure just doesn't really live up to the character. They did just reuse the IG-88 mold, and that is just really inaccurate compared to what the figure should be. For one, it is much smaller than how big IG-11 would have been in the actual Mandalorian show, so he's just underscaled, and like I said, that reuse of the mold, it just doesn't work for IG-11 the best, and plus he also has trouble standing up. Like, I'll have all my figures set up, and IG-11 will be the one to topple them all over, so because of that, he does come in at the number 20 spot. Coming in at the number 19 spot is The Child. This was the first release of Baby Yoda ever, and for the time it came out, it was pretty good, but just since then we've gotten a lot more versions of Baby Yoda, or Grogu, whatever you want to call him, that are just a lot better. Some include the pram, some come with some other accessories, and they're just much better. Plus, this was a $10 Grogu, so it was quite expensive. Like I said, for the time, there's a lot of hype around it, and I was really excited to get it, but it just doesn't really live up to some of the newer Grogu figures that we've gotten. Coming in at the number 18 spot, I gave it to the Remnant Stormtrooper. Now this one is on that 2020 Stormtrooper body, so it has a great mold behind it, but unfortunately the weathering on this is just not the best. I don't know what they did to it, but it looks like a burnt marshmallow. I'm sorry, it doesn't really look like how it's supposed to, especially compared to the show, so I think this one had potential, and I think if they did it today it would be a lot better, but just how it came out originally was not great, and plus it was a Target exclusive, so it was really hard to get. Coming in at the number 17 spot, I picked the New Republic Security Droid. Now this one is a figure that I just don't care too much for, mainly because I don't care too much for the New Republic Security Droid to begin with. They didn't do very much in the one episode that they were in, and so if they're going to pick any characters from that episode to make, this one would have been the last one I would have picked. I would have picked more from the kind of like bounty hunter squad that Mando brought with him, but instead they picked this one, and this one I just don't really care too much for, so yeah, he's a little bit lower on the list. Coming in at the number 16 spot, I gave it to Grief Karga. I just want to get the record out there. I absolutely love this figure. Great accessories, great mold all around. Just, it's a good figure, and this one gets way too much hate. I really want to come out and say it. I know it peg warmed, and that's the main reason it's so low on this list, is just there were so many of him everywhere. He was General Lando before General Lando was out, and I don't know why, because this figure is great, and I really wish that he sold better because he's a good figure, and so I kind of put him towards the middle of the list. I think he's a good figure, but I just don't think he's as good as some of the other ones on this list. But if you don't have this figure, I suggest go out and get him because he's really good. Coming in at the number 15 spot, I gave it to the Armorer, and this is specifically the original release and not the convention exclusive release. And the main reason this one's so low, I think this is a great figure, but after getting that convention exclusive release, the deluxe version with all the extra accessories and cool features, it's just hard to see the original in the same way. And just this one compared to the deluxe version, the deluxe convention exclusive version is just way better. Coming in at the number 14 spot, I gave it to Moff Gideon. Now, this one could technically count as a Season 1 or a Season 2 figure, but I did go ahead and throw it in as a Season 1 figure. And this one had a lot of potential, but there's just a few things that really killed this figure, mainly the hard cape. This cape, I think it looks great. I love the red on the inside and the red or the black on the outside, but just a really hard plastic. It does not look great, and I think a cloth cape would have looked so much better on this figure. And plus, this one just has trouble staying in the peg hole in the back, and so because of that, it falls off and it sits weird. It's just not great. And then, of course, the Darksaber as well. This is just kind of like a black sword, and it needs a lot more detail. It needs the white outline and some of the cracks and some of those details that they really didn't put in. So, good try, but I think this one could be better. Coming in at the number 13 spot, I gave it to Q90. Now, this one I absolutely hated when it first came out. I thought it was stupid, and I thought it was a waste of a spot for a Black Series figure. But I got it in hand, and this is a really good figure. I believe it's a brand new sculpt, head to toe, or at least mostly new. There might be a few pieces of reuse, but for the most part, it's a new sculpt, and it looks great. The weathering for the rust is incredible. Articulation is pretty solid, and some of the extra details like the wires and the eyes, it just looks really good, and this one really surprised me. They put a lot of care and effort into it that they really didn't need to, and it really blew me out of the water. Now, is it one of the best figures in the line? No, but I think it definitely exceeded my expectations. Coming down to the number 12 spot, we're getting to some of the figures where there's just not much wrong with it, so I'm going to be talking more about the positives than the negatives. And like I said, the number 12 spot is the Heavy Infantry Mandalorian. This guy is great, big bulky Mandalorian, really cool like minigun looking cannon. Overall, it's a great figure, and I don't know what else to say about it because it's just a good figure. Coming in at the number 11 spot, I gave it to Cara Dune. Cara Dune is a pretty cool character in the show, and her figure came out very cool as well. She's definitely got a bulkier build, which I really like. I think the figure came out great. Good color scheme, great accessories. Overall, pretty good figure. Coming in at the number 10 spot, I gave it to the Season 1 Migs Mayfeld. This one is incredible. I love the pinless, single-jointed look all the way around. Also does come with 4 blasters, with 4 holsters for all of them, which I love. I love the weapon storage. And then it also does have a backpack with an additional blaster molded into it, which is super cool. Overall, great figure. One of the most slept on Black Series figures in my opinion, because it is really, really good. Coming in at the number 9 spot, we do have the Remnant Scout Trooper and Speeder Bike. This one is super cool, I do have to say. I absolutely love the weathering on the Scout Trooper. Gives it a nice, like, tannish, sandy look, and I really like how it came out. It's like a Sand Trooper, but a Sand Scout Trooper, and it looks super cool. One of the best Remnant figures we've ever gotten, and plus, it did bring back that original Scout Trooper, like, Speeder Bike mold, which I do love. But this time it's in white and it looks great. So overall, great set. This one did sell out very quickly on Amazon. It's been very hard to get ever since. So hard to get, but great set. Coming in at the number 8 spot, I had to give it to the deluxe HasCon exclusive version of the Armorer. This one is incredible. Comes with a ton of extra accessories, including a whole nother Mando helmet, which looks like it's being forged, which is incredible. Even comes with some like hammers with some blast effects to really sell the look, and it is incredible. One of my favorite sets I've ever gotten in the line, and it also does have the soft goods like fuzzy cape rather than the hard plastic one, and I think that one is much better, just like tenfold better, and it really just makes the experience of the figure way better with that new cape rather than the hard plastic one. So this one definitely deserves it, and I wish it wasn't an exclusive because it is a great set, and I wish it was easier to get for everyone. Coming in at number 7, I gave it to the original release of Beskar Mando. Now this guy is super cool. I remember back when Season 1 came out, this guy was announced just a few months later, and that Beskar look is incredible. There's definitely a lot of hype around this figure, and that's one reason why he's so high. I think it is a great figure, but I do think he could use some improvements, maybe including a soft goods cape, so that's one thing I'm really hoping for with the new 2023 version coming out later this year, so we'll have to wait and see, but it's a good figure for the time, and I know there's a lot of hype around it. Coming in at the number 6 spot, I gave it to the first ever Mando Build-A-Pack. This one was incredible because it came with that really nice Beskar Mando figure, but it did have a removable helmet with the Pedro Pascal head underneath, and it looks incredible. It also does come with Baby Yoda, as well as his pram and a ton of other accessories, so for the time, this Build-A-Pack, I believe, retailed at like $32, maybe $33 at the most. So comparing that to most deluxe figures nowadays, the price was incredible, and overall it was just a great release. Coming in at the number 5 spot, I gave it to the Muddy Mando. Now this one is one of my favorite Mando releases of all time. I know a lot of people hate like the Mando repaints and the constant Mando figures, but I say just give them to me because I really love them, and I want to get every single version of the character that we can, because I think it just looks great, and especially with that muddy look, they found a way to cake it on there to make it look 3D, and it just looks incredible. Also love, of course, the new Baby Yoda and pram. It's great. Overall, one of my favorite releases, and like I said, just give me more different variants of Mando. Give me a Sandy Mando for all I care. I just really like the different Mando variants, and this one is no exception. Coming in at the number 4 spot, I gave it to the Death Watch Mandalorian. Now, this one was barely in Season 1. He showed up for a flashback, and like I said, it was like 2 or 3 seconds. No, it was a little bit more than that, but it was no more than like 30 seconds of screen time, and for that, Hasbro really like knocked this figure out of the park. New mold, head to toe. Overall, just a great figure. Love the color scheme. I like this color scheme much more than the original Death Watch one that we got in the line. This one's great though. Good articulation, good accessories. Overall, one of the best Black Series figures we've gotten of all time, not just in Mando Season 1. Coming in at the number 3 spot, I gave it to the Incinerator Stormtrooper. This guy is on the 2020 Stormtrooper body, which means he's already got a lot going for him, but he also does have that really nice red color scheme. I love the design. It looks great, as well as the pauldron too. Overall, it just looks really cool. He's even got like the flamethrower backpack and the flame effects, which is really something that I'm glad they included. I love when they do extra effects like that, blaster effects, flame effects, and so I'm really happy they decided to do that. I know they did do like the Flame Trooper for the Gaming Greats line, and they didn't include the flame effect, and that's something that they definitely missed out on, so overall, great figure. Number 2 has to be the number 94 original release of The Mandalorian. I know this one might be a controversial pick for being so high, but there is so much hype and so much nostalgia around this guy. I had to put him this high. I almost put him at number 1, but I decided to put him at number 2 instead. He was one of my first Black Series figures I ever got. He was actually the first review I ever put up on the channel. First video of all time is the review for number 94 Mando, so I've just so much invested in this guy. One of my favorite figures of all time. He's got to be up there. So, yeah, really love him. Paint apps are great. Articulation's great. Accessories are great. Overall, one of the best Black Series figures ever made. You can fight me on that because I will take it to my grave. So yeah, he comes in at the number 2 spot, but I think he's tied for the number 1 spot, which is actually the Mandalorian Stormtrooper. This one I just could not put at number 2. I had to put him at number 1. I really wanted to, but this is just a great figure. That new Stormtrooper mold is something that has just been great, a huge improvement compared to the original one, so really happy with how this new one came out. It looks clean, it looks shiny. That's one thing I love, is the plastic is like a glossy white with a matte black undersuit, which is something that a lot of their clone figures and trooper figures don't have, and they executed it perfectly on this figure. Overall, it's a great figure, and it deserves the number 1 spot. So if you guys did enjoy, the like button and subscribe. Let me know what your top 10 would be down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.